Up+Adam.
Tractor systems are offline.
We are Beyond FM.
Beyond FM.
The future of broadcasting is here.
Up+Adam with Adam Montiel. It's community content from Concentrate. It's Up+Adam with Adam Montiel.
Some say life is where it begins. Straight to the stars is where it ends. Yes, some say life is just where it begins. Straight to the stars is where it ends. Only to start again.
Happy Wednesday. Let's go. Hump day, smack dab middle of the week. Adam Montiel, thank you so much for being Up+Adam. Excited for today's show. First, though, last moments. In fact, I'm going to be getting a winner for Paso Wine Fest now, in a couple minutes. So, literally last chance, last moments to get in to adammontiel.com. See if you can win a pair of tickets to Paso Wine Fest happening Saturday, the big grand tasting. adammontiel.com, right off the homepage. If you're buying some last-minute tickets, you can use the promo code ADAM when you're at pasowine.com. Use that promo code ADAM, save $20 per ticket. That saves you some money, huh? Today, we got a big Hollywood actor on the show. This guy, he is the heart, the humor, and the heat behind one of the biggest shows on network TV. You know him as Evan Buckley from 911 on ABC. But behind the sirens and the stunts, it's a guy named Oliver Stark, a North London kid turned unlikely American hero, stepping into the role that's not only transformed his career, but started to shape the man himself. I mean, now he's like one of people's sexiest men alive. I mean, dude is just on top of the world. What is it like to walk into a grocery store when millions see you as the guy who runs into burning buildings? How do you stay grounded when you're co-starring with Angela Bassett and watching your character become like this cultural icon? Dude is blowing up. Today on Up+Adam, we're going to go behind the flames into the firehouse with Oliver Stark himself. We'll talk legacy, little imposter syndrome, running towards danger, and what he'd do if it all disappeared tomorrow. Plus, he shares how real-life friendships on set and a few fan theories online have kept the character of Buck as layered and as lovable as ever. As always, when we get names and actors like this won't be your typical press junket. We're going to have a good chat. Looking forward to chatting with Oliver Stark, actor, coming up later on Up+Adam. Before that, couple little nuggets here. I saw this story. Airbnb isn't just for renting houses anymore, apparently. Founder and CEO Brian Chesky announced that they're adding some new services to Airbnb. This includes things like massages, personal training, plus experiences tailored to specific locations, like a pastry making class in Paris or a gallery tour in the Big Apple. And you'll also be able to rent celebrities. This is not a joke. They're really trying to do this. Chesky says he's got dozens of famous people already ready to participate. Initial offerings will include a day maybe playing football and eating barbecue with Kansas City Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes. Maybe a day-long experience with Sabrina Carpenter and Megan Thee Stallion. Chesky really hoping that Airbnb will get people off their damn phones. Quote, AI is magical, but you know what's more magical than AI? The real world. And people and relationships and memories. Well, true that. We'll see if this new chapter for Airbnb goes anywhere. Certainly interesting. And finally, got a little nugget in the What the Food, WTF, a What the Food segment. In the age of pumpkin spice spam, right, mustard flavored ice cream, and they're making everything, this is remarkably tame. Nutella, and I know a lot of people say Nutella. It's actually pronounced Nutella, from what I understand. Just announced its first new U.S. flavor in over 6 decades. 61 years they haven't introduced a flavor. So they've had 6 decades to think about it and prepare to have your world rocked. The new flavor of Nutella? Peanut. What a letdown. Peanut? I mean, normal Nutella is chocolate and hazelnuts. So I guess it's for people who, I don't know, I'm going to mix a little bit of peanut butter in there. Even more lame, they announced it, but it doesn't hit stores for another year. Your world won't actually be rocked until the spring of 26. So I don't know, but Nutella obviously trying to stay in the news, making peanut flavored hazelnut chocolate spread. There you go. All right. I'm excited to get into our chat with the one and only actor Oliver Stark. First, I want to thank our friends at Dow for supporting local being Up+Adam. They dropped something called their Taste of Luxury. Tiny vials, big flavor. You get to sample some of their top tier wines like patrimony, soul of a lion in these sleek 100 ml pours. Check it out, dubvineyards.com. Make an appointment to get up there and taste the food, the people, the wine, the views, all of it. Serious luxury, Paso style, dubvineyards.com.
It's Up and Adam with Adam Montiel.
Like I said, joining me today, actor Oliver Stark, British-born actor and breakout star of 911 on ABC, where he plays fan favorite Evan Buckley, a.k.a. Buck, known for bringing depth, heart, and a little chaos to the firehouse. Oliver's performance has helped turn the show into a primetime juggernaut. But beyond the stunts and storylines, he's got a real-life soul just as captivating, an animal lover, a nature guy, even a bit of a shutterbug. When he's not on set, you'll learn. We caught up to talk about character evolution on 911, behind-the-scenes dynamics, and how staying present in the moment keeps this actor grounded even in this new meteoric whirlwind of fame. Oliver, thanks, man, for being Up and Adam.
Yeah, my pleasure. I'm happy to be here.
You know, there's something about firefighters that never stops capturing the imagination. It's one of those jobs that every little boy dreams about. Not many grow up to actually wear that gear, even if it is on a set. Did you ever want to be a firefighter as a kid, or were you kind of like a stay inside, draw the fire truck kind of kid? What was it like for you?
It wasn't a job that I think I was particularly interested in as a kid. I was much more sports focused when I was young. You know, I had dreams of being a soccer player or whatever. But I did actually consider it briefly in my adult life, between acting jobs. And I started to wonder, am I ever going to get another one? I did start to think to myself, hey, maybe that's a job I could end up doing.
You know, there's something that happens when you play a character over time. He starts walking with you, shows up in how you carry yourself, maybe even how you see yourself. When you're playing a character that runs towards danger every week, do you think any part of you starts walking a little taller off set? Do you walk into a store feeling almost like you kind of carry that with you in a way?
Probably naively so. You know, I find myself running into emergency situations that I have no right to be there in. But no, I certainly think, or I hope that some of Buck's traits have rubbed off on me. You know, he's super selfless. He really puts himself out there for other people in his life. He has such a huge heart. So I don't claim to have taken on any of his technical abilities, but I hope some of his emotional capacity has have found its way into me.
And I'm probably going to date myself here, but for a lot of us, the first time we saw a show like this, I'm thinking like in the 80s, like Emergency. You're probably way too young for that. Do you remember that old show Emergency? Did they ever talk about it on the set? Because 911 feels kind of like that legacy in a way. You know what I mean?
Yes. So I have never seen it, but I am aware of it, and it has been spoken about on the set. And my understanding is exactly that. You know, it's a show in very much a similar vein, and you know, they want to pay tribute and homage to first responders and show people that the daily lives of these people that, as you say, run towards the danger that everybody else runs away from.
Yeah, the beauty of a show like this is kind of in its chaos and in its variety, like all the variety of the different kinds of scenes. Like you get to play humor, you get to play heartbreak, action, you get to do some personal stuff. It's this full spectrum gig. Does that kind of stretch actually free you up as an actor? Because you get to kind of dive into so many different areas of personality, heroism, all kinds of stuff, and still be showing the kind of acting chops that you really got. I mean, you're really good at what you do.
Absolutely. You know, one of my favorite things about the show is that we do get to showcase and explore so many different things. You know, from episode to episode, it can feel sometimes like a totally different show. There can be a really lighthearted episode where it's kind of heavy on the comedy, and then there can be a really dramatic episode where it leans into much darker subjects, and then the next one we are blowing up a building and rappelling down the side of a high-rise in downtown Los Angeles. You know, you really do get to embrace all these different sides, and it's been so fun from an acting perspective to kind of get to lean into all of these different genres and explore and learn as we go and see what works well and what doesn't. So no, it's been a gift in that sense.
Okay, I want to get behind the scenes for a second, because as I look at your role as Buck in 911, and I see the way it's evolved. I mean, you become like a fan favorite. I mean, I was on Reddit, and that's kind of a great barometer, a great way to get the pulse on something is to go on Reddit, see what people are saying, because they'll be open, right? They'll talk shit. I mean, you are a fan favorite on the show. And I got to tell you, dude, I mean, you may not want to hear this right now, but it reminds me of like a George Clooney in ER, where here we saw, yeah, he did these other things, but we saw George Clooney in a way that we'd never seen him before. Again, being able to be romantic, be a doctor, be a hero, be all these things. And then we saw the kind of career that came out of ER from George Clooney. Do you sit here and think in your space, go, wow, this role and the fact that Buck is becoming such this well-loved character, this is a really great position for me because the world is going to open up post 911.
I hope so. You know, I try not to dwell on it too much or think too far ahead. I think I've been guilty of that in the past, of doing something and already wondering what comes next. And then if the thing that you're expecting doesn't come, you've set yourself up for disappointment. So I've been conscious, and it's been easier on this show to do this because it's gone on for so long, but to just live in the moment of it and just see it for what it is, and or try and see it for what it is and have a great time. And, you know, whatever comes next. And I'm excited for that when the time comes. But for now, I'm having a really good time, and I'm not looking too far ahead as much as possible.
When you're in a position like this, how far ahead are you looking? Are you going, what are they going to write next season? I mean, there's talk, you know, is Buck and Eddie going to become a thing? I mean, which is like very, you know, unique for the kind of show this is, but there's certainly a lot of like, and you could tell maybe writers, producers, that they're kind of flirting with that. They want, the fans are talking, and do you go like, well, are they going to write this and are they going to write that? I mean, you've been in a really busy season with, you know, big heartbreak earlier in the season. We're about to wrap up this season. It's been quite a heavy season for you, hasn't it?
It has. And I have conversations with Tim Minear, who is the showrunner, and, you know, ask questions, or he'll ask me questions. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? But the show is always changing, you know. You can never really plan too far ahead with it. That's just always been the nature of the show. It's often in flux, the storylines, and they're, you know, from one day to the next, it could be like, okay, this is the direction we're going to head in. Oh, actually, it's going to be this direction. So I've kind of set myself up similar to what I said previously, where I've thought a storyline might be happening and been somewhat excited for it, and then it doesn't necessarily pan out that way, and it's like, that would have been really cool. I'm sad I don't get to play that. So, you know, if Tim comes to me and wants to have discussions, then we have them, and if not, then I kind of just wait till the script arrives in my inbox, and we go from there, and just try and play it moment to moment as kind of authentically as we can, and put our trust in the writers that they're taking us down a good path.
You know, it's a small world, and there's some mutual connections that we have. I'm an acquaintance with Kenny Choi. He's a good friend to a friend of my friend. Yeah. So I've cracked a beer up with him several times. But also another small world is Juan Carlos. I met Juan Carlos a couple years ago. He's one of the executive producers on 911. And I happened to text him yesterday because we met at a wine event in San Francisco. We kept in contact, and I interviewed him on my show as well. And I asked him about you in Instagram. And what the sweetest thing he said, and I want to read it to you because it was just such a kind thing for someone, you know, to say about you as an actor and as a person. He says he is an amazing actor, but also an incredible photographer. He says, I had the pleasure of working with him for 6 years. He is in so many ways the heart and soul of 911. His character is the heart of the fictional team of the show, but he's also the same in real life. He's game for anything, and he makes everyone and everything better. Talk about like, wow, that's really cool for a guy to say about you, right?
I'm a little speechless. That's so lovely. Wow, thank you for sharing that. Genuinely, that makes my day, and I have so much love for Juan Carlos, and you know, we as he says, 6 years together, and I feel the exact same back to him. You know, he writes on the show, as you say, exec producer, and he's also directed a number of episodes. Yeah, just a really, really lovely man. And to be honest with you, like 911 is filled with just really good people, and I think that's part of the secret source of its success, is that everybody is just nice. And I think that really bleeds into the show, and the fact that we all have fun together bleeds into the show, and that means that the audience has fun when they watch it.
Well, I know he likes Gamba Zinfandel, so you get him a bottle of Gamba from Russian River. That's going to be the key. He's going to know that you heard this. You know, I think about a show like this in a space where you are. The rise is pretty meteoric. When does that process for you as an actor go, man, like shit's changing around me? Like I got to do this now. I got people, my publicist worried about that, and my manager. Like, is there a point where things switch and almost become, it's always been a hustle, and we're still grinding, but it's like, whoa, this world is changing around me. This is evolving a little bit. Okay.
Well, I think it's one of those things, because the show has been on for so long. The more obligations that have come with it, or the more opportunities that have come with it, it's been gradual because it's been over 8 years, right? So it's not like I was at home, jobless, unemployed one day, and then the next day I got to come and speak to you on the radio, you know? And that would have felt like a big change. Whereas because it's been so gradual and incremental, it doesn't ever seem like, oh my God. It's only when you take a step back that you go, wow, I'm really doing all the things I've always wanted to be doing. It's important, I think, to do both, actually, to sometimes not think of it in those terms, because it can be overwhelming, or you might, get a little too ahead of yourself. But I do think it's also important to take that step back sometimes and go, hey, I'm really proud of myself. I'm making this happen, and I'm enjoying this ride.
This theme has been coming up on the show recently with guests, and that is after big stardom, after big fame, or big success, the imposter syndrome. Do I belong here? Like, oh my God, that's Angela Bassett right there. Or, you know what I mean? Like, did you ever struggle with that?
Definitely. For a number of years on the show, it wasn't until, later on, maybe season 4, season 5, when I started to think, I'm really bringing something to the table here. I belong to be here. But even that, it's not linear, right? Then sometimes you'll have days where you don't feel in that same kind of mindset. So definitely, I think probably any field you struggle with that, but maybe particularly in creative fields, because it's also subjective and there's no exact formula. There's no wrong or right. So there's no easy way to gauge your own progression. So yeah. But I think it's important to remember that if you're having imposter syndrome, you can only be having imposter syndrome if you're doing the thing that you want to be doing. So it's a good sign that you're on the right path.
Let me ask you, do you cook?
Not well.
Not really. I was going to ask you because I love sausage rolls, and that's like the only thing. I was going to say, if you had any little cue into how to really make some bomb ass sausage rolls, I was going to hit you up with it. But if you're not that big of a cook, maybe I'll stick with my sausage rolls.
Yeah. I was just go buy them.
Right. Last question. Take away the cameras, the scripts, the press. It's just you. There's no plan B. It's just Oliver and instinct. If you weren't acting, if it went away all tomorrow, what would you run towards?
I think something to do with nature and animals, maybe some kind of conservation-like job, some kind of, something where I could get to be like hands-on, get my hands dirty, and maybe do something that's helpful to the environment. I don't know what exact job title that would be, but in that kind of field is, I think, something that I would find fulfilling.
Well, I really appreciate the time, Oliver. It's been cool to kind of meet you here, and I can't thank you enough for your time and for the conversation, my man. Appreciate you being up and at 'em.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Have a great day.
Some say life's where it begins. Straight to the stars is where it ends. Only to start again.
Pretty grounded dude, huh? You can catch Oliver as Buck on 911, airing Thursdays at 8, 7 Central. Tomorrow is the season finale. And if you're not watching, it has been a ride of a season, because they had a big loss earlier in the season with Peter Krause's character. And now we got the season finale tomorrow. That is not going to disappoint. So we wanted to have him on today, give you some time, check out the season finale of 911 on ABC tomorrow night, 8, 7 Central. We got links to the show, also Oliver's socials in the show notes. Check them out. So thankful to have Oliver Stark on the show today. Tomorrow, got some local love. We got Chef Rachel Ponce, also brewer Eric Ponce. They together are going to be teaming up for the Staviary. That sounds like a word I've never heard before. The Staviary is going to be one of the newest, coolest spots in Paso. And we're going to tell you all about it now that the curtains are being rolled back and we finally can. So Chef Rachel as well as Eric on the show tomorrow. Want to thank our friends at Moonshiner Collective for original music on the show called Start Again. Thanks so much to you for being here, for connecting. Also, if you could, rate, review, subscribe to the show wherever you listen, and even just sharing the show with a friend really, really does help others discover what we're doing here in the community. So appreciate you very much. Looks like temps are ramping up before they ramp down, before they ramp up again. And we're talking a week from now, we're going to be in the mid 80s, upper 80s in San Luis Obispo. Paso will be into the 90s, mid 90s by next week. So there's a little bit of a cooling trend. Sorry, it's actually a little bit of a warming trend, a little bit of a cooling trend, and then a big warming trend. So we're getting into that weather. We certainly are. All right, till tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Adam Montiel. Appreciate you being Up and Adam.
Some say life's where it begins. Straight to the stars is where it ends. Only to start again. Let's start again. We'll start again. Let's start again.